Hello there guys and welcome to this weekend's live stream for IFMC. I am JWF1 and we are here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit in Mexico City for the running of the Mexican Grand Prix. A bright and sunny day here and we're hoping for a very exciting weekend. If you didn't see what happened last weekend at COTA for the United States Grand Prix, quite a controversial one, but in the end EMR managed to get their first 1-2, taking advantage of the red flag and the pile-up that happened down at turn 1, with Nico Hülkenberg taking his first ever IFMC victory, with Sebastian Vettel taking second and Valtteri Bottas in third position. Etihad obviously got caught up in the pile-up that was at turn 1, but made quite a good comeback through the field, and they're hoping that this weekend they can turn it around and hopefully increase their lead in both championships. But as you can see, bright and sunny conditions, and just a couple of notes before we start. As you know, Lewis Hamilton has signed a 2-season extension with Etihad Racing, so he will be with Etihad up until the end of Season 6. And Kimi Räikkönen, of course, has a qualifying ban for causing the crash with Daniel Ricciardo, going right into the path of him there then. So he ends up with a qualifying ban, so only 21 cars will be taking part in this qualifying session. And hopefully we'll be here for an exciting one then. So bright and sunny conditions. So, I think without further ado, let's get to the 35-minute qualifying session here at Mexico. So, it should appear quite soon on your screens. And here we are then in the pit lane. And we're going to go to the end of the pit lane with... who is at the end of the pit lane? It will be Kevin Magnussen, I believe it is at the end of the pit lane. Let me just double check. And yes, it is Kevin, so we'll wait and get the session in the way. In fact, he's going to get it kicked off straight away. So, Magnussen coming out onto the track. And Magnussen, of course, putting in some very strong races over the last few weekends. And hoping to try and see if he can continue that throughout the remainder of the season. But Magnussen, first man out on track then, here at Mexico, as he goes through the first few corners on the track. And last season, of course, when we were here, it was a very close qualifying session and a very exciting race as well. Hopefully, we'll get somewhat similar this weekend, but a lot of people are speculating that maybe the Etihads will romp away with it in qualifying and it won't be as close as last season. But we will wait and see anyway. As we come up towards the double right-hander now then. And just getting the car turned in through these S's now then, before approaching these next section of S's. A load of S's on this version of Mexico. It is the original Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit, not the current one that Formula 1 uses nowadays. But Magnussen now then just going through the left-hander before he approaches the final corner on the track. As the sparks come off the back of his car now then, up towards the final corner he will go, as he will start a lap. Also on track we have Oliver Rowland, Max Verstappen's out there as well, as is the man who won last time out, Nico Hülkenberg, Charles Leclerc out there, Carlos Sainz Jr., Antonio Giovinazzi, Valtteri Bottas, reverting back to the original livery for Eldorado after running a one-off at USA. Pascal Wehrlein out on track as well, as is Brendan Hartley, Daniel Ricciardo, Stoffel Van Dorn, and Fernando Alonso has just come out as well, and that's it. Kimi waiting on the sideline, so I think we've got 13 cars on track. Luckily for Magnussen, he didn't get held up there by Fernando Alonso as he comes up towards the left-right chicane, and quite a lot of chicanes through onto this track as well. I think a majority of the track is consisted of chicanes, but now as we go through the double right-hander now then, before approaching a complex of S's now then. And last season, this was where Giovinazzi and Vettel crashed out, where it potentially robbed Vettel of a victory last season. And I remember EMR were quite angry about that, and they're hoping to look for redemption this season if they can here at Mexico. But considering how quick the Etihad has been in qualifying over the past, they believe it will be possibly a difficult task. But you never know, of course. As Magnussen now then comes around the final corner, and let's see what K-Mag is able to do. As he comes down the pit straight and across the line goes Kevin Magnussen. What's the benchmark of time? A 1:09.696 for Kevin Magnussen. Across the line goes Rowland to go second. Max Verstappen crosses the line to go third with that lap, so P3 for Max. Here comes Nico Hülkenberg, P1 for Nico. Here comes Charles Leclerc, P5 for him. Carlos Sainz Jr., P3 in the shadow. P2 for Antonio Giovinazzi in the improving build light line. As here comes Valtteri Bottas on a lap now then, as he will approach the final corner. Valtteri seems to be getting a good run of races in the bag. Two third places in a row last time out. Looking to see if he gets another podium this weekend. But now Bottas coming out of the final corner. And across the line comes the Finn. And where's he going to go? He goes second with that lapse of P2 for Valtteri Bottas. Here comes Pascal Wehrlein now then in the AMP. As he comes up towards the flat out final corner. And let's see what Pascal is able to do then in the AMP. As he will head down the pit straight now then. And Pascal is going to cross the line. And where's he going to go? 5th place for Pascal. Brendan Hartley slots only 10th with that lap. So only P10 for the Kiwi. Daniel Ricciardo now then. Let's see what the GRM can manage. He goes 10th with that lap. So P10 for Daniel Ricciardo. P6 for Stoffel Vandoorne. Fernando Alonso goes 3rd with that lap. So only P3 for Fernando here at Mexico. So that's that for him, really. Of course, he did get caught up in a bit of traffic, as we saw with Kevin Magnussen there. So that could have been the reason. So maybe we could expect some improvements for Fernando Alonso. It seems Etihad's Achilles tendon in qualifying always seems to be traffic for some odd reason. They can never call it right when it comes to traffic. But at the moment, then, it is currently Hulkenberg at the top of the timing sheets with, I believe, it is Valtteri Bottas in 2nd and Fernando Alonso in 3rd. So that's how it currently looks. But we've still got I think 8 more cars to do laps, so anything could still happen in this qualifying session. As Bottas now then peels back into the pits, and we will wait and see what happens then. So that's the top 5 so far: Hulkenberg, Bottas, Alonso, Giovinazzi and Magnussen. So that's how it currently works at the moment in this stage. So we will wait for another set of cars. We had somebody lift up the jacks as a few cars go back into pit lane, and somebody's coming out, and it is Ed Jones in the Mars Grand Prix car. And our latest news that came out for them really is that Mars Grand Prix will be switching to Ferrari engines next season. Martini will be ditching Ferrari at the end of the season. It'll be very interesting to see what Martini adopt for next season, but we do understand that Mars is having a Ferrari engine next season. So all the talk of them having a long-term plan with Porsche seems to have gone out the window, it appears. So why Andy said that in the first race, I have no idea. But hey who, things happen I suppose. But Ed Jones out there just going around the chicane. Of course they'll have to look for a different driver next season, because Scott Dixon is moving to British Airways Racing, who will be formerly known as Monster Grand Prix, to join alongside a Brazilian veteran Rubens Barrichello, making his IFMC debut. Last time we saw Barrichello in an IFMC environment was in IFMC IndyCar at the last race at Montreal. So he'll be back next season with the renamed British Airways Racing team alongside Scott Dixon. So a very experienced lineup, it must be said, at British Airways Racing next season. Mars having to look for a different driver next season. Whether Ed Jones will still be there next season, we will wait and see. But that is Ed Jones now. It comes out of the final corner to come down the pit straight, as the sparks continue to come off the back of the car now then, as he will now approach the first chicane on the track. As it looks like in the background there, I think that's Sebastian Vettel in the EMR that's just going out onto the track. But down to turn 1 then goes Ed Jones. It is Vettel. Anybody else out there as well? We've got his teammate Scott Dixon out there, Romain Grosjean, Esteban Ocon, Sergio Perez out there as well, Jean-Eric Vergne, Lewis Hamilton, the current championship leader, is out on track. Nico Hulkenberg back out as well. And we mentioned Vettel as well. Leclerc, Hartley and Giovinazzi come out, as has Magnussen. So a lot of guys seem to be getting caught up in traffic then, it appears, on their lap. So that's not going to fare well for any of them doing the first flying laps. It seems to be a common trend in qualifying throughout IFMC's history. So that's that at the moment. As now Jones now then comes around the section of S's. Through the final S's he will go before going down the back straight before approaching the flat out final corner, where in 1990 Mansell went round the outside of Berger on the penultimate lap. It was an incredible move around there, and we've seen some overtakes done at this last corner last season, especially Giovinazzi passing the heavy fueled Etihad of Fernando Alonso, I believe it was. So maybe we could expect some overtakes on that last corner again. Jones crosses the line to go 14th for that lap, so P14 for him at the moment, so essentially last, because nobody else behind him has done a lap. Vettel's just started a lap, as will Leclerc and Hartley. Here comes Jones's teammate Scott Dixon. Let's see what he's able to manage. He seems to be holding up both Bud Light Limes going through the final corner there then. So around the final corner then goes Scott Dixon, and let's see what he's able to do as he heads down the pit straight. Dixon goes to 15th behind Jones, and Giovinazzi starts the lap. P6 for Romain Grosjean's back, getting a little bit held up. P13 for Esteban Ocon. P5 for Perez. Kevin starting another lap. Here comes Jean-Eric Vergne who comes out of the final corner, and let's see what Vern's able to do, and he goes 17th with that lap. So not a good time there for Jean-Eric Verne. Here comes championship leader Lewis Hamilton. Can he try and threaten Hulkenberg's pole position now? Then he took pole here last season, I believe. And Hamilton now then crosses the line and goes fastest with a 1 minute 9.045. Hamilton goes to the top. Hulkenberg improves but stays in second. Only a few hundredths off Hamilton so far in qualifying. Here comes Charles Leclerc in the shadow. Let's see what Charles is able to do then. The Monegasque driver just going around the section of S's now then, as he will now approach the final corner. And let's see what Leclerc is able to do now then, as he goes up towards the final corner and onto the pit straight. Will go the Monegasque driver. Down the pit straight he will go, and Leclerc, let's see what the time is going to be then for Charles. And he stays 15th for that lap, no improvement. And an improvement for Hartley, but he stays 18th for the moment with that lap. Here comes Kevin Magnussen. I don't know if he got held up on his lap. He's currently P8, but Magnussen now then crosses the line and stays in 8th place, no improvement for the Dane. And so that's that then really. And in terms of those laps at the moment, it is currently now Hamilton at the top with Hulkenberg in second, and I believe it is Bottas who rounds out the top three at this stage. So that's currently how qualifying seems to pan out at the moment. So Magnussen now then just going through this left-right complex of corners, and we'll be seeing him duck into the pits as we have just over 25 minutes of this qualifying session remaining. So we've already had just over 10 minutes of the session gone. So that's that then at this stage. Is Magnussen now then just going around the left-right chicane now then on the track, and Magnussen will be going back into the pits this lap as he just goes through the S's now then. So Magnussen will be peeling to the right, and which he does. So into the pits there goes Kevin Magnussen, and also now out on track is Oliver Rowland, and so far he's out qualifying Brendan Hartley. So far this season, I think Hartley's out-qualified him in every race, but it seems that so far Rowland in this qualifying session seems to have his number at the moment, but whether that will change during the course of qualifying, we will wait and see. Rowland preparing to start his next flying lap as he will approach the final corner. So he's about to start his next flying lap. Carlos Sainz Jr. comes out on track, last season's GP2 runner-up, who's had a very impressive season so far in the shadow, it must be said, and a lot of drivers, in fact, a lot of the teams, in fact, pretty impressed with his talents, and be interesting to see where he'll probably end up next season. He'll probably maybe stay at Shadow next season. We'll wait and see. Or we could end up going elsewhere, but who knows really what's going to happen with Sainz next season. He hasn't, well, in fact, he is staying with Shadow. In fact, I don't know what on earth I'm talking about. And but there you go then. So Sainz staying at Shadow, of course, but probably, you never know, of course, somebody could try and buy out his contract if that's the case, but at this stage I probably doubt it at the moment. I'm guessing Jake will do everything he can to try and keep hold of him for next season, considering he has got a contract with Shadow, I think up until season 6 from what I remember, or it may be till the end of next season, can't quite remember. But Sainz about to start his lap. Verstappen out there as well, Rowland's on a lap, Ricciardo, Van Dorn, Verline, Alonso, Bottas, Jones, Ocon, and a few others, Verne, Perez, and Grosjean expected to do laps. Here is Rowland, who doesn't appear to be improving according to his steering wheel in the middle sector there, as now they come up towards the final corner, and let's see what Rowland's able to do. Is he able to pull it back in the last sector? Is in front, I think that's Verstappen, is about to start a lap in the Martini as they go down the straight now then, and it's not an improvement for Rowland. He stays 13th for that lap, and still 17th for Daniel Ricciardo. And so let's see now then, as we now look at Carlos Sainz Jr. He's just going around the section of S's now then. So through the those complex of corners he will go now then. Let's see what Sainz is able to pull off as they go through these section of corners. And Sainz now then about to finish off his next flying lap as he will come up towards the final corner. And let's see what Carlos is able to do now then as they go flat out through the final corner now then. Let's see what Carlos Sainz is able to do. Down the pit straight goes Carlos, and across the line he will go. Is this going to be an improvement? It isn't. He stays 12th for the moment in this qualifying session. Verne and Perez behind starting a lap. Verstappen appearing to improve by 0.2 of a second from his personal best in the second sector. So let's see if he's able to keep that up as he goes through the final corner. Martini targeting a top 10 qualifying session. and hopefully try and get some points on the board if they can. Down the pitch straight goes Verstappen, and he goes up to 8th for that lap. So P8 for Max Verstappen. A good time from him there. Still 17th for Daniel Ricciardo as Grosjean's about to start a lap. Here comes Pascal Wehrlein just outside the top 10. Wehrlein crosses the line, and he improves but stays in 12th. And so that's that at the moment. Here comes Fernando Alonso. Can he try and make it an Etihad lockout like he did last season? Alonso crosses the lines. Is going to be an improvement. It is. He goes up to 3rd, so doesn't quite lock out the front row. But Alonso gets into the top 3. Bottas doesn't improve. He stays 4th. Still 20th for Jones, but he improves on his best time. As here comes Sainz, who's going back into the pit. So we'll look at Verne in the GRM, who is currently 19th at the moment, still being outpaced by Daniel Ricciardo. As Verne will now come up towards the final corner, and let's see what Jev is able to do as he just goes around the final corner and onto the pit straight. Will go the Frenchman as the sparks continue to come off the back of the car. Verne now then across the line he will go, and he doesn't improve and stays in 19th place as 7th for Sergio Perez. So an improvement there for the Mexican. Well, he stays in 7th, but he improves on his best time. As now we look at Grosjean, who appears to be improving. He's coming around the final corner, currently just outside the top 10 at the moment. But let's see if Grosjean is looking at an improvement now then as he heads down the pit straight. He came close to winning here last season, but just missed out. Grosjean crosses the line and goes up to 6th for that lap. So a brilliant time from Grosjean to get up into P6 for the moment in this qualifying session. A few cars going out now then on the track. And let's see if anybody else is doing a lap. No, there ain't. So Scott Dixon coming out on track as we have just over 20 minutes of the session remaining. 15 minutes of the session have already gone. As Dixon now then approaches the first few corners on the track. And so through he will go. And so Dixon just going through turn 3 now. Then he will go before approaching the left-right chicane. And Dixon preparing to start his next flying lap as he's currently, in a way last, because of course Raikkonen's got the qualifying ban and won't be taking part in this qualifying session. Dixon now then just feeding the car in through the corners now then before preparing to start his next flying lap. So he just goes through the left-hander now then. Around he will go. And so just going through the left, then the right, and then the left again. So he will now come towards the final corner to start his next flying lap. Anybody on track with him? Yes, coming to pole man. Lewis Hamilton has just gone onto the track, as has Sebastian Vettel. He's out there as well. Antonio Giovinazzi out on track, as is Brendan Hartley. Charles Leclerc is going out. And we'll also be expecting Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Sainz, Verstappen, Roland, Bottas and Alonso to join these guys as well. Where is Dixon on track? Because he was the first to start a flying lap. Here he is. He's just going around the S's section, or in fact the first few corners of the track now then to do a lap. I do apologise, it wasn't the S's, it's the first few corners. As now Dixon will approach the left-right chicane. And let's see what Dixon is able to do as he just goes through the right, left and right-hander on the track. And so Dixon now then will be going around the section of corners now then as he looks to complete his next flying lap, as he's coming up towards the end of sector 2 now. The sparks coming off the back of the Mars Grand Prix car with a Porsche engine, but it will be a Ferrari next season when we move to the V12 era. As now Dixon now then just going around the final corner and onto the pit straight will go Dixon, and let's see what he's able to do. And he improves but stays in 21st position. Verstappen going out onto the track, as is Fernando Alonso. As meantime Lewis Hamilton on a lap looking to see if he can improve on his current pole position time. Hamilton going through the final few corners on the track, and let's see what Lewis is able to do then. The championship leader will approach the final corner. Remember, he won here last season, and this was kind of the kickstart of last season for him to get 4 in a row in Mexico, USA, Austria and then Britain. But so far he hasn't got that at the moment. Maybe he could have another 4 in a row, but we'll see. Hamilton crosses the line and he improves to a 1 minute 8.830. So Hamilton improves even more at the moment. Sebastian Vettel goes up to 3rd with that. That's a P3 for Sebastian, as Bottas just starts a lap now then at this stage. As we now look at Brendan Hartley, who's just coming around the final corner, and let's see what Hartley is able to do. Hartley crosses the line and goes up to 11th, so an improvement for Brendan. As Leclerc now then doing a lap. Let's see what the Shadow is able to do. Across the line goes Charles, and he improves but stays 17th for the moment. Verstappen about to start a lap. Kevin Magnussen through the final corner, currently just outside the top 10 in 12th. Let's see what Magnussen is able to do. Is this an improvement for the Dane? It is. He goes up to 9th at the moment, so up to 9th place goes Magnussen. Alonso starts a lap, but it looks like maybe again Magnussen looks like he's going to be holding him up. Here comes Hulkenberg. Can he try and close up to Hamilton at the top? Hulkenberg crosses the line and doesn't improve. Stays in second for the moment in this session. As we now look at Carlos Sainz, who's just coming around the final corner. And across the line he will go. And he stays in 15th. No improvement for the Spaniard. As Lewis goes into the pits. Here comes Valtteri Bottas now then, round the final corner, currently P5 at this stage as he heads down the pit straight. And across the line goes Valtteri, and he doesn't improve, stays 5th for the moment with just over 16 minutes of the session remaining. And so here's Verstappen, currently in the cusp of the top 10 at the moment. Let's see if Verstappen is able to improve on this lap as he will approach the final corner. Verstappen now then around the final corner and onto the pit straight will go the Dutchman. And let's see then, down the pit straight and across the line goes Max Verstappen. Is this going to be an improvement? It isn't. He stays 10th for the moment in this session. So that's that at the moment. Fernando Alonso across the line improves but stays in 4th position. So even with Magnussen in front, he still was able to improve. He's coming up towards the end of his qualifying. So that's that then really. And maybe we could expect some early finishes then in this qualifying session. And so now going through these section of corners now then, as we wait for some more cars. In fact, Daniel Ricciardo is out on track at the moment, as Daniel Ricciardo now then just going around the final few corners now then, as Alonso in front is going into the pits, the man he's actually replacing next season. There's still no confirmation yet on which team Alonso will be driving for in IndyCar, but I would suspect probably he'll be driving for E-Power next season because it is Etihad, and I wouldn't be surprised if Alonso will still carry Etihad affiliations with him when he goes to IndyCar. So I wouldn't be surprised with that if that is the case. Still no official confirmation, but we will wait and see as months to come. Still plenty of time, but we will wait and see. As now round the final corner then goes Daniel Ricciardo, as he now starts his next flying lap. Alonso going into the pits. Perez out on track for El Dorado. Van Dorn out there as well, as is Ed Jones. Romain Grosjean out on track as well. We also have Verline, Ocon, Ricciardo as mentioned is doing a lap. Verne, Dixon, Hamilton, Vettel, those guys we're expecting to do laps very soon. They'll be coming out on track very soon indeed, as Ricciardo just goes around turn 3, and he's got to be careful he doesn't get held up by Esteban Ocon in front of him at the moment as they go through the left-right complex of course. I think it's Ocon in front. Yes, it is. It is the pink helmet of Esteban Ocon that's in front of Ricciardo at the moment. And so far, Verstappen out qualifying Ocon. Only just though. Ocon is in 11th, just one place behind Verstappen at the moment in this session. So both Martinis doing a decent job in qualifying. Seems to be making some progress after what happened to them from Spain onwards. But that's that really. It seems that they are slowly getting the cash back together to make some, it appears, some upgrades, I believe, but who knows really. It seems that they have made some progress from Spain onwards, it appears, and who knows what their new engine is going to be next season. We will wait and see. But that's that. Here comes Ricciardo now then heading down the pit straight, and across the line will go Danny Rick, and he doesn't improve, stays 18th for the moment. As we now look at Perez, who doesn't appear to be improving in the middle sector. Perez currently in 8th place in this session as he goes around the final corner. The sparks coming off the back of the El Dorado at this stage as he heads down the pit straight. And let's see what Perez is able to do across the line. And he stays 8th for the moment then. No improvement. Verne starting a lap, as is Dixon. Van Dorn currently 13th. Coming around the final corner, let's see what Stoffel Van Dorn is able to do as he will head down the pit straight, and across the line goes Stoffel. And is this going to be an improvement? And it isn't. He stays 13th for the moment in this session. Ed Jones is going to cross the line, stays 20th. for the moment as Hamilton starts a lap. I don't know if he got a little bit held up, but I wouldn't suggest an overtake would do that. As up into 5th goes Romain Grosjean. So up to P5 he will go. So a brilliant improvement there from Romain Grosjean. I think it's P5 anyway. Yes, he's up to 5th with that lap. A very big improvement there for Romain Grosjean. Pascal Wehrlein going around the final corner. Let's see what he's able to do. Wehrlein crosses the line and he stays 14th for the moment, a place behind teammate Van Dorn. Still 11th for Esteban Ocon at the moment. As Vettel, his former teammate behind him, is starting a lap. As Perez going back in. We look at Jean-Eric Vergne in the GRM. He's coming up towards the final corner. He's just come out of the exit of sector 2 there. So let's see what Vergne is able to do now then. Round the final corner and onto the pit straight goes the Frenchman. And let's see what Vergne is able to do now then. Down the pit straight and across the line he will go. And he stays in 19th position. Only just not able to improve by 800ths of a second there then. Scott Dixon going down the pit straight and across the line goes the Kiwi. And he improves but stays 25th. Still a place behind Ed Jones at the moment in qualifying. Lewis Hamilton, is this going to be an improvement for him? No, it's not. It looked like he got heavily held up on his lap and stays on 1 minute 8.830 at the moment. Leclerc behind starts the lap. Might have been Leclerc that held him up. I don't know. But that's that really. As we now look at Vettel, who's improving on his personal best in the middle sector. He's nearly 2 tenths up there in the second sector. So let's see what Vettel is able to do now then as he goes around the final corners. This is going to be an improvement then for the German. Can he try and beat his teammate onto the front row? Vettel down the pit straight and across the line goes Sebastian. And he improves to go up to 2nd. So up to P2 goes Sebastian Vettel. So he beats his teammate off the front row at the moment. Hulkenberg pushed down to 3rd place in qualifying. As here comes Kevin Magnussen, who comes around the final corner. And let's see what K-Mag is able to do as he heads down the pit straight. And across the line goes K-Mag. Is this going to be an improvement? It isn't. He stays 9th. So if you can hear something going off in the background, my fan is going off because it is quite warm in my bedroom. So just ignore some fan, the sound of the fan going off in the background. So Charles Leclerc on a lap doesn't appear to be improving according to his steering wheel in the middle sector. So let's see what Leclerc is able to do if he's able to put it back in the last sector. Around the final corner, down the pit straight goes the Monegasque driver. And let's see, Leclerc is going to cross the line. And he stays in 17th place on his final flying lap. So a disappointing qualifying it appears for Charles Leclerc here in Mexico. Giovinazzi about to start a lap very soon now then. In the Bud Light Lime, he currently finds himself in 7th, his teammate up in 5th. You can definitely tell the Bud Light Lime has improved from USA onwards, it appears, or maybe even Donington as well. I think they showed some good pace at Donington as well, but it seems the Bud Light Lime appears to be back where it belongs, challenging for podiums. Still a little bit to go before challenging for victories, but I'm sure that Bud Light Lime will find a way to do that as soon as possible. As Giovinazzi is about to start his next flying lap. Of course, he's been a bit of a troublemaker, it must be said now, after what happened at the USA. And it's not the first time he's done something like that, especially team boss Oliver Glazebrook came out yesterday and compared him to Ocon from Season 2. So, if you're getting compared to Ocon in Oliver Glazebrook's books, it's not very good in terms of his terms, really. I should have said it the other way around. If he says that, you're not really in Oliver Glazebrook's books, are you? So, Antonio, clearly gathering a little bit of a reputation for being the start crasher, it must be said. Won in Monza last season, and last weekend now at Kota he caused one as well. So, that's pretty much that, really. So, Giovinazzi now then, just going around the S's now then. And let's see what Gio is able to do as he just goes around the left-hander before approaching the next section of corners. Through the second to last corner and up towards the final corner as Gio will be starting his next flying lap. Verstappen out on track as well, as is, well, in fact, Hulkenberg's actually on a lap, so I didn't realise that. But he's 800ths off his personal best in the middle sector. I didn't realise Hulkenberg was on a lap in the EMRs. He just circulates around the final corner and onto the pit straight. We're now at the 1:30 mark. Down the pit straight goes Hulkenberg, and across the line will go the German, and he doesn't improve. He stays 3rd, isn't able to get back onto the front row, and that's his qualifying done with. He's run out of laps to complete. So now we'll look at Hartley, in fact, who's on a lap. So there was a few others in front of Giovinazzi who were doing laps. Hartley crosses the line, stays in 12th on his final flying lap. No improving. In fact, a lot of guys coming out on their final flying lap at the moment, as Roland is currently down off his personal best in the middle sector. And so coming around the final corner, he will go down the pit straight and across the line will go Ollie Roland, and it doesn't improve. He stays 16th in qualifying. Ricciardo about to start his next flying lap, as is Valtteri Bottas. Here comes Fernando Alonso now. Can he try and make it an Etihad front row if he can? He doesn't want the Etihads being split by 2 EMRs at the moment. Here comes Alonso. Across the line he will go, and he doesn't improve. He stays 4th. Does the 3-time champion. So Alonso staying in 4th on his final flying lap there then. Max Verstappen, round the final corner he will go. And let's see what Mad Max is able to do as he will head down the pit straight. And across the line goes Verstappen. And is this going to be an improvement for him? It is. He goes up to 9th for that lap. So up to P9. Goes Max Verstappen on his final flying lap. P9 for the teenage Dutchman. Still 15th for Carlos Sainz Jr. So Shadow doesn't appear to be doing well around here at Mexico. So it seems that they're going to be struggling through this weekend. As Van Dorn starts his final flying lap. As up into the top 10 goes Verline. A big improvement for Verline. He goes up into 10th place as Perez starts the lap, as does Jones. Anybody else behind him on the track? No, it didn't appear like it. So now we look at Daniel Ricciardo, who's on a lap, as he looks to be improving in the second sector, but only by 400ths of a second, so it might not be much of an improvement, but we will wait and see. Ricciardo now then up towards the final corner. Looks like Bottas behind is getting held up by the GRM. So that's that. Ricciardo around the final corner and onto the pit straight. He will go now then, and Ricciardo crosses the line. And is this going to be an improvement? It is, but only up to 16th place goes the Australian. And it's still 7th for Valtteri Bottas. Looked like he got held up there by Ricciardo. And those two finish off their final flying laps. As we look at Stoffel Van Dorn, Verline's teammate. Verline now up into the top 10. Van Dorn looking to see if he could try and maybe push him out of the top 10. Or maybe even get close to him, possibly up in 11th. We will see. The Belgian now then round the final corner he will go. And Van Dorn now then will come down the pit straight, and across the line goes Stoffel Van Dorn. And let's see what he's able to do now then. Across the line he will go, and he stays 14th. No improvement for the Belgian on his final flying lap. Just over 5 minutes of the session remaining. Still a few more to do final flying laps. Perez improves but stays P8 for the moment. So 8th and 7th and 8th. Looks like row 4 is going to be the Eldorados for this race. It appears. It seems to Bud Light Limes seemed to outpace him over the last 2 races, it must be said. Jones stays 20th, no improvement, as his teammate goes out on the track to complete his final flying lap. As Ricciardo goes in. Grosjean out on track for Bud Light Lime. He's currently in 5th place at the moment, looking to see if he can get into the mix of the EMRs and the Etihads in front of him. And so Grosjean now then goes up towards the final corner to start his next flying lap. And so now heading down the pit straight goes Romain Grosjean, as he will now approach the first few corners on the track. Down the pit straight then goes Grosjean. As the sparks come off the back of his car, he'll be hoping that Etihad doesn't hold him up. And it does look like that's going to be the case. Hamilton rejoins right in front of Grosjean there. And it looks like that Grosjean's lap is going to be ruined by the current championship leader, Lewis Hamilton. And the current pole sitter as well. Let's not forget, Grosjean doesn't look like he's going to improve unless he performs a miracle. I mean, we have seen some people getting held up so far in qualifying and still being able to improve, because it is more of a straight line speed track, this is. So anything you do lose in the corners is not going to lose you too much. So that's that really. As now Grosjean goes through the left-right chicane, and Grosjean now then just negotiating through these section of corners, as Hamilton now then going through around the final few corners on the track. And so Grosjean now then about to finish his final flying lap. Hasn't been wrecked by Lewis Hamilton at all, and that was the man he was actually fighting for the lead with last season. But whether he'll be able to repeat that this season, I don't know, considering the season that Bud Light Lime has had so far. Grosjean crosses the line, stays in 5th place. No improvement for him at this stage. Ocon, his fellow compatriot, starts his final flying lap. Speaking, another fellow compatriot, Jean-Eric Vergne, crosses the line, stays 19th, improves, but stays where he is. So a disappointing qualifying session again for Jean-Eric Vergne, who's looking for employment next season, as GOM have a new driver lineup next season in the form of Will Power and Esteban Ocon. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Sebastian Vettel about to start his final flying lap. Dixon looking at an improvement in the middle sector, looking to see if he could try and beat his teammate to 20th place. And so he does look at any improvement at the moment, but let's see. Dixon, round the final corner he will go, and onto the pit straight goes Scott Dixon, and across the line he will go. And does he improve? He does, but stays 21st. So Jones out-qualifies Dixon this weekend then. Here comes Lewis Hamilton on a lap, and he's 1/10 off his personal best in the middle sector, so it looks like Hamilton doesn't appear to be on an improvement at this stage, as Hamilton now then negotiates through the final corner and onto the pit straight he will go. Hamilton across the line now then, and let's see, Hamilton now then stays on a 1 minute 8.830, so that's that for him. No improvement for Lewis. Esteban Ocon crosses the line and no improvement, stays 12th with that lap there then. So that's that for him. Here comes Sebastian Vettel, currently second. Could he try and beat Hamilton off the pole now then? So Vettel took pole last time out at Cota. Can he try and get pole here at Mexico? Round the final corner goes Sebastian Vettel, and let's see what the German is able to do. So sparks come off the back of his car now then. Vettel, cross the line he will go, and he doesn't improve. Stays in second place, so still sharing the front row with Hamilton on his final flying lap there then. And I think that is that. It doesn't appear like anybody else is out on track. Under 2 minutes of the session remaining, and I believe that will be that for qualifying then. So as a result, it is Lewis Hamilton who's going to be on pole position for tomorrow's Mexican Grand Prix, with Sebastian Vettel joining him on the front row. And yet again, for the second weekend in a row, the top four consisting of Etiads and EMRs, and whether that will be a common thing throughout the remainder of the season, we will wait and see. But throughout these two American races that we've had, the EMRs and the Etiads are always mixing it out on the first front four slots on the grid, it appears. So Vettel just going around these section of corners now then on the track, and so that's that then really. So Vettel will be going back into the pits, and there you go then. So Vettel in the pits he will go with 1 minute remaining in the session, and so that's that then in terms of qualifying then. So it should come back to Raikkonen, and then we'll fast forward it a little bit, and then that would be that, I believe. So Vettel there then, getting the board there then, and it has rejoined back to Raikkonen. Vettel's car still behind him there, but now it's despawned. So let's accelerate the time then, because there's nobody else in the pit lane. And there you have it then. That is the end of qualifying here at the Mexican Grand Prix, and it is Lewis Hamilton who takes pole position for tomorrow's Mexican Grand Prix. So after all of that, here's the grid for tomorrow's Mexican Grand Prix here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit. Lewis Hamilton takes pole position with Sebastian Vettel second. Nico Hülkenberg is in third with Fernando Alonso fourth. Romain Grosjean is fifth, with Antonio Giovinazzi in 6th position, Valtteri Bottas 7th, Sergio Perez in 8th, Max Verstappen in impressive 9th, Pascal Wehrlein an impressive 10th in the AMP, Kevin Magnussen 11th, Esteban Ocon 12th, Brendan Hartley 13th, Stoffel Vandoorne in 14th, and if we scroll down the rest of the field, it is Carlos Sainz Jr. 15th, Daniel Ricciardo in 16th, and then it is Oliver Rowland in 17th, Charles Leclerc in 18th, Jean-Eric Vergne 19th, Ed Jones in 20th, Scott Dixon 21st, and due to his qualifying ban, Kimi Raikkonen is 22nd and last. So there you have it then, guys. That is the grid for tomorrow's Mexican Grand Prix. It's looking to be a very exciting race tomorrow. Hopefully you'll tune in tomorrow. But that is it then, guys. I hope you enjoy it. That's the end of this live stream. Reminder, no GP2 or GP3 this weekend. They'll be back next week at Belgium. But anyway, guys, that has been it. I hope you've enjoyed it. We will see you then, guys, tomorrow at a later time of 3 PM BST because of the MotoGP race at Jerez for the 66 lap Mexican Grand Prix. And hopefully it should be a good one. But guys, that has been it. I hope you've enjoyed it. So thank you very much for watching. I've been JWF1, and I will see you guys tomorrow at 3 PM BST for the Mexican Grand Prix. Until then, take care.